All right. Hello and happy Monday. It's Monday. It's Tuesday. Yesterday was Monday. Happy Tuesday, and today we're gonna make a chocolate cake. But we don't sell chocolate cake, we sell chocolate cupcakes, but this is the same recipe that we use for our chocolate cupcakes. Now you have a choice. 3 possibilities. One possibility is you just order some chocolate cupcakes from Mi&Stu.com. Second possibility, you just order the chocolate cake mix from Mi&Stu.com and you make your own cake. Third possibility, you can order the Mi&Stu chocolate cake mix from Mi&Stu.com and make cupcakes. It all works. 1, 2, 3. Try it out, have a good time. Hope it's somebody's birthday soon because these are really, really good cakes. So, when you order the kit from us, you will get both of the sugars that you need. You're gonna have to provide either margarine or butter if you bake with butter, or shortening. The first part is you're gonna throw these things in the bowl and you're gonna turn it on and you're gonna whip it. Whip it. Whip it good, because you want it to be light and fluffy and lovely. So if you're using butter, make sure that it's not super cold, because you want to be, well actually I guess butter kind of, I don't really bake with butter. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just gonna scrape it down a bit. Get on with it. So it all kind of comes together. So now you just have kind of like a thick, kind of pasty thing, and you're gonna add your eggs to it. You're gonna need 3 extra large eggs, or 3.5 regular sized eggs. And the other thing that I forgot to mention is, one of the things about this recipe is that there's water in it, and the water has to be hot, like boiling hot, some of it. So I always get my kettle ready and I just finished boiling it. You need about 400 mils of water, which is about 1.5 cups, I guess. A cup is 250 mils, right? Anyways, on the instructions, it'll all be clear. So I'm just incorporating the eggs now into the sugar, and we'll call it fat because that's what it is. And also, I don't know what you're using, either margarine or shortening or butter, but not oil. Don't use oil in this. Don't substitute with oil. It won't be what you want it to be in the end. So I'm scraping down the sides a bit. So in this bowl is everything that's going to come in one bag. It has all the dry ingredients that you need for this recipe. In this little cup is 10 milliliters, which is 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, which you can leave out if you don't have, but I suggest you put it in because it helps the cake rise a bit, and it also helps preserve the cake, though you won't really have to preserve this because once you start eating it, you'll finish it, I'm thinking. So I'm gonna throw that in there. I'm gonna get half of my water, which is 200 mils. It's very, very hot. This part doesn't need to be as hot, so I'm gonna make it like more lukewarm. But the second part, I'm sorry I'm not facing you when I talk. The second part has to be hot because we're gonna put in the chocolate chips, and then the hot water melts them into the batter, which is awesome. So here we go. Let's add our dry. We're gonna turn the mixer on, and we're gonna pour the water in while the mixer is running. And I'm gonna get my next 200 ready, which is my boiling hot, and you can, I'm thinking you could probably see the steam. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like now in the mixer, the consistency before we put in the boiling hot water. Now I'm gonna put in all my chocolate chips, which come in your kit. So in go my chocolate chips, and then in goes my boiling hot water. I'm just gonna take it off the paddle a little bit because it tends to join up there like that. And now you can see the difference in the texture after the hot water went in. So then it's sort of like a chocolate pudding consistency. It's not like a really thick batter. And I'm gonna make 2 10-inch layers because I'm gonna make a 2 10-inch layer cake. There's about 6 cups of batter in this bowl now, and that's what you'll get when you do this mix. So I would put, obviously, 3 cups in each, unless you want it to be lopsided, like really big one and a really skinny one. That's also fun. Or you could do one big cake like in a bundt pan, but I would suggest using a tube pan of some kind, because without that center air, I don't think that your cake's gonna make you that happy in the center and won't cook properly. Or this would also make 24 chocolate cupcakes, which you would do about 1/4 cup per cupcake to get 24. If you decide to make them bigger, which is fun, that would depend on how big you make them, and then I can't really tell you what the yield would be because you'd have to call me and ask me, which you can do, or send me a message on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram if you have a question. All right, so I'm gonna scoop it out with one of these 1-cuppers, and I'm just gonna put 3 in each. You can eyeball it if you're feeling crazy, which most of the time I am feeling crazy, but not about cake, just crazy in general. Just crazy. Okay, and my oven has been preheated to 350, so it's ready to go. So I put 2 in there, and now I'm gonna put 2 in here, because I really want my cakes to be the same, and I don't want to run out at the bottom of my bowl. So this is my safeguard against doing that. As you can see, I'm not wearing my Mi&Stu t-shirt today. I'm wearing my controversial t-shirt. I was feeling somewhat controversial today, and I decided I was just gonna do what the t-shirt said. Super hot here today. I don't know what it's like where you're living, but if you're living here, it's crazy. Crazy. Doesn't feel like August at all. I think we had one day where it actually felt like August, and I was like, oh, it's August. And now it's not. It's like we're going backwards. Okay, so my bowl is basically empty now. Just gonna take it all if I can. Just make sure it's all evened out nicely, because when you make a layer cake, you don't want to have a big hump in the middle, because then the cake doesn't sit nicely on the other cake. But I'm going to show you how to ice it later, and also you can do them upside down, which is a little trick. So the bump is on the bottom, and then you could fill in the edges with icing. Little tricks that we will work on later. So I'm going to put my cake in the oven. It doesn't really take long to bake. It's like a 24 minute bake, and I'll see you back here when they come out. Okay, so my timer's going to go off in a couple seconds, and I'm going to take the cakes out and I'm going to let them cool. And after that, big surprise. I'm going to show you a big surprise. After that, I'll show you something else. Ho ho! That's very pretty. So you can test your cake if you want. If you have a very sharp, pointy knife at the end, or you can use a fancy cake tester. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to cut out for now. I'll be back in 20, show you what I'm going to show you. Then we'll take a break. Then we'll ice the cakes. We're going to be together all day. It's going to be fabulous. See you later. So I gave it a bunch of time to cool, about 20 minutes. So here's my little secret of the day, which maybe you already know this secret. I don't know. The easiest way to ice a cake is if the cake is frozen, so that the cake doesn't come off and get mixed into your icing, which is really annoying, especially when you're doing a chocolate cake. So I'm going to flip each of my layers out onto parchment paper that is on a baking sheet, and I'm going to put them in the freezer for at least an hour so that they get not sticky. All right, so the easiest way to flip is to put the tray on top of the cake, say a prayer that it doesn't stick to the pan, and flip it. And that's what freeze for about 2 hours. And then I put it down on my 12-inch cake round. But you can put it on a plate or anything. Just make it easy for yourself later on so that when you want to cut it and turn it and all that kind of stuff, it's easy. Hopefully you have one of these. If not, you could use just a regular spatula that doesn't have any slots in it just to move the icing around. So you can order our kit with icing, or you can make your own, or you could buy icing. Entirely up to you. It is available though as part of the kit. So my cake is not super frozen. As you can see, there is a little bit of chocolate coming up, which is not so fabulous. So maybe I didn't let it freeze for long enough. What I might end up doing is putting my second layer on, and then before I freeze the top, I might put them both back into the freezer together and let them freeze like that. Just so it's as pretty as can be. And as you can see, I always put my cakes upside down. That way you get a nice flat surface to work with. I'm gonna put this in the freezer for maybe like another half an hour until it's a little bit more frozen, and then I'll see you back. So now, somebody just wrote something on social media but they hate the way that my people start a sentence with the word so, and now I'm hyper aware that I think sometimes a lot I do that. Anywho, frozen, much easier to ice. I really let it sit for a long time in the freezer, and I'm gonna suggest that the longer you have to leave it in the freezer, the better it is. So you can just put a piece of parchment paper underneath it, put a piece of parchment paper on the top, and wrap it up in some saran and put it in the freezer, and you will be much happier with the icing, although I see there's a little bit of cake in my icing, and I'm just gonna shut up now. Though I just want to say one thing. I'm not really like a chef at icing. I'm gonna do my best. And you do your best. And the people you love and who love you are gonna accept that and say, I love you, thank you so much. I'm finished with the base of the cake. Now it's fully covered, and you can leave your cake like this. I'm gonna add a little bit of fun stuff because I have an icing bag and I have a little tip that makes tiny little flowers. So I'm gonna do some flowers, and I'm gonna write happy birthday because it's for somebody's birthday. I'm gonna take a little piece of paper towel, or like a piece of paper towel. I'm gonna make it just tiny bit wet, and I'm gonna clean the edges before I do my flowers. The hardest part is to get the words to fit evenly and properly. I've many times smushed it all and started again, but today seems I'm having great success. Now I'm just gonna put a few little stars all around the edges. Very important when you're working to stick your tongue out, by the way. Okay, so, I did it again, I said so. I'm done. There's my cake, and it says happy birthday, and I'm really quite proud of it. When you order our kit, feel free to get some food coloring and really doll it up. We don't use food coloring in the bakery because we've had trouble sourcing ones that are completely allergen free. But if you don't have allergies and you want to make colorful cakes, then they are gluten-free, and you can have a really good time with it. Maybe I just said again. I wanted to actually, I'm gonna add at the end of the video some cakes I've made in the past for my kids because they're ridiculously cute and they were really fun, but they took hours and hours. So if you need a project, these are great cakes to do your project with. Just make them, pour them into your mold. Like, let's say when Rachel was three? Rugrats cake.
That was what I got, Winnie the Pooh.
Gorgeous. I made a Winnie the Pooh cake, Rugrats cake.
Blue's Clues, Spider-Man.
Blue's Clues, Spider-Man. They're fabulous. Maybe if I find, I made SpongeBob?
Yeah, for me, for 14.
That's fabulous. I'm gonna put them at the end of the video. I wanted to say thank you for watching, and I hope that you're doing well, and I wanted to tell you to subscribe if you don't mind. Maybe I'm asking, not telling. And like us and share us and enjoy us, and we enjoy you, and let me know if there's stuff you want to know that I'm not revealing. Bye.